Right. Okay, so for everyone out there that's watching, our massive network of people right now in our new and mighty Frontier House podcast ecosystem, for people who don't know who you are yet, who are you? What do you do?
Awesome. I'm Tad Melnicki. I'm the founder and CEO of LARX. LARX is a decision intelligence platform for visual-based data. So essentially, we allow you to bring any visual data, satellites, drone feeds, static imagery, full motion video into one single system where you can take data and turn it into actionable intelligence in seconds to minutes, thereby reducing the cognitive burden placed on analysts. But also we've engineered the system that we can push it directly to operators at the edge. And so for the first time through LARX, 3 of the most important constituencies in national security and defense, the operator, the analyst, and the decision maker, can all work off of one intelligence tool.
That sounds very complicated.
It's complicated, it's audacious, and it's going incredibly well, but we're 10 months in. So there's a lot further to go.
10 months in.
10 months in.
Okay.
But, I think when you look at the composition of the team, I spent 10 years in the DoD working on counter chemical weapons, counterterrorism, and counter IED issues. I then left. I've started 3 companies, beginning with Second Front in the early days of Second Front Systems.
Never heard of her.
Never heard of her. Obviously, Peter did an amazing job and built that into an absolute powerhouse. And then I built an open source intelligence company called Overwatch Data, which now focuses more on threat intelligence. So I've been around this ecosystem. My co-founders, Colter, and our third co-founder, Adam Smith, who's our CTO, he has 20 years in Army Special Forces. He was with GRS for a number of years and then went back to SOCOM as a data engineer. So, and I'll let Colter introduce himself. We have a pedigree in the space, and everyone on our team comes out of the national security environment, which gives us a huge leg up. Colt, do you want to introduce yourself?
You should have hired a Marine, but that's fine. Colter.
Thanks, Michael. Colter Carimbio, co-founder, chief revenue officer. Tad and I have known each other for about 15 years. My background, way back when I was in the Army, about 20 some odd years ago, I'm old enough to have basically all the gear that I used is now in museums. Like actually, literally, we're in the museum yesterday, and I'm like, oh, there's my radio.
Yep.
Got out of the Army, went to work at IBM doing consulting, mostly DoD, but also some private sector stuff. Left there, I was at Incutel for 6 years, program manager for 3, and then liaison to their government agency partners for another 3. Left to go work for one of their portfolio companies running GovRel for them, and then on to a data security company, almost exclusively selling into commercial sector. So healthcare, oil and gas, financial services for 8 or some odd years. So nice to be back in the national security here with LARX.
So this
and Mike,
go.
There might not be a Marine formally on the team right now, but one of our most active and earliest investors, a guy named Andrew Bartholomew from Fulcrum Venture Group.
You're just making a string of bad decisions.
He is an investor, and he is a Marine.
I know.
So
Marine Corps Scout Sniper to me too.
He is, and we do have a Marine in the ecosystem.
No, I mean there is no doubt that you guys didn't wake up yesterday and say, oh, I think I'm going to start a company in defense, and then just go on the internet and complain until somebody buys your shit. You guys obviously know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So starting there, you guys obviously know what you're doing, which is sometimes I think you get too far in knowing what you're doing when you start talking to your user or talking to that PEO, PAE, PM contracting officer that you're trying to engage with in the department. For someone who has no idea what you're doing, what does LARX do?
So the government is spending hundreds of billions of dollars every single year.
Yep.
Acquiring satellites, drones, cameras, different remote sensing capabilities. What does that hardware do? It produces data.
Right.
And that data from the systems that we focus on are images or videos or data points that can be mapped. Making that data usable by the average user, regardless of their technical competency, is a very, very hard thing to do.
Yes.
The advent of AI and large and small language models have meant that for the first time, we were able to build a system that is natural language based, which serves as an incredible equalizer and really democratizes access to this data for the first time, because in 7 minutes, I can train you on our system and you can simply go in. You don't have to code. You don't have to be an analyst. You don't even have to have expertise in geospatial intelligence, in any of these visual intelligence formats. You just have to know what data you want and what the outcome you're trying to understand is.
Right.
So if you're working inside the Department of War, Department of Defense, whichever you want to use, and
It's war. Get
It's
your
war.
Get your messaging right,
It is-
everybody.
it is-
the
it is-
Department of War.
it is war.
And I heard yesterday it's the Dow.
I love that.
I don't know if I've accepted that yet, but because I'm not sure if it's Dow Chemicals or the Dow Jones, but I heard it twice yesterday that it's the Dow.
Well, in this context, the Dow is up right now.
It is. The Dow is up.
It is open
massively.
for business, and the Dow is up.
Generational high in the Dow today.
So what we've been able to allow people to do is that you want to go in, you want to learn about a certain area, you're looking for some sort of operational or strategic outcome in Syria.
Yep.
All you have to need to know is I need to look at imagery of Syria. Yep. So with natural language, you can search for that anywhere that data is stored. You bring it into our system. Now you have to take that data and you have to turn it into intelligence.
Right.
And so we give you the tools to do that, whether you're an incredibly mature and technical user or an expert on Syria, or if you're newer to the space, we equalize the environment that everybody can operate in.
Yep.
And extract intelligence. And why is this important? Mike,
Please, go for it.
You went downrange. Colter and I have spent, our entire careers have been in this space, over 20 years each of us. We have all lost friends, and we have seen the government make dumb decisions strategically, not because we don't have the data, but very simply because we couldn't turn the data into intelligence fast enough. So we've lost friends. Yeah. That data existed to keep a lot of those people alive, but we couldn't turn it into intelligence. That's why this matters.
So you're not replacing the analyst, the all-source analyst. You're not replacing the SIGINTer or the HUMANTer. What you're doing is you're shortening the cycle for collection of information and operationalizing it into intelligence.
You got it, 100%. I mean, if you think about it, we are building an AI queryable real-time digital twin of the known universe.
Wait, say that again. Say that again. I think that should be like the headline of your website. Say that again.
Real-time AI queryable digital twin of the known universe. It's a big statement, I know.
All right. Keep going, please.
So as we talk about intelligence and awareness in the national security space, we often talk about it in terms of domain, right? Maritime domain awareness, space domain awareness. Right. We're saying abstract all of those things, put them into one place so that you have all domain awareness. Right. You can go from the seafloor up to geostationary orbit, and have all their information in one place, and have it as real time as possible. So I think of it as a continuum, right? That is what I described as nirvana. That's perfection. That's where we're building towards.
Right.
But being able to say, let's break down the barriers, let's break down the silos, let's break this down to its constituent part, its atomic element, which is data and information about the world, the physical world. That's what we're driving towards. And to get to your point about the analyst, right? We're not replacing the analyst.
Right.
we are replacing the tedium and all of the housekeeping that an analyst has to do in order to get to the hard questions, the complex questions, the difficult things that an analyst is trying to answer on a daily basis.
Right. Actually distilling it into intelligence from just the raw information collection, kind of sorting through that.
Yeah. How do you get clear through all the clutter, all the stuff that an analyst has to do to get all that out of the way and actually get at the heart of the problem?
All right. So
you got to see what matters.
Right.
Right? Because we have never had access as humans to more information.
Oh, 100%.
Ever. But there gets to a point where you have access to so much information that there is a cognitive decline that comes from we are not meant to process the amount of inputs that we have.
We are meant to eat berries and live game in a cave around a fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we are augmenting every user in the stack with almost a second brain that is tailored to them to help them take care of all the crap that they don't need to be focused on.
Yes.
Let's automate that. So if you're an operator, your job is to execute a mission and to come home safely.
Right.
So let's make it as easy as possible for you to understand the environment you're going into, plan, be knowledgeable and informed, and then when you deploy on that operation, bring it with you on your rig so that extension is with you to make sure you have all the intelligence at all times to come home safely. If you're an analyst and you're focused on one area, let's get you to the place where you can use your expertise and make a decision. So everything in the lead up to the decision, let's get that done. And if you're a decision maker, if you're a commander, if you're a member of Congress, you're on a defense or an intelligence committee, let's get away from you having to sit through briefing after briefing and research after research. Let's distill that down to what matters so that you could do your job, which is make the best decision for this country.
Yeah, you're speeding the whole process to the decision point and letting humans do what humans are good at and letting the machines and the AI do the rest of that.
Human in the loop.
All right, so let's go to AI. What do people get wrong about AI, just generally, right? You said natural language processing. There's probably LLM in there. There's probably some agentic processes. There's a lot of all the AI buzzwords in there. But all the way up to Elon Musk, we've seen people in the AI ecosystem say, hey, let's pump the brakes on this. We've seen Alex Karp say, hey, this is our new Manhattan Project. What are people getting wrong about AI?
I think people both radically underestimate and radically overestimate the
all right, give me
impact
both.
that AI is going to have on this world.
Okay.
On the overestimating side, it's really, I think, when you come at it with a non-technical lens, you look at AI and you say, well, this thing, I can just type in a question, it's going to give me an answer. And that answer's, all I need. Well, is that answer factually correct?
Right.
How can you verify that it's factually correct? How did the AI arrive at that answer? What data did it look at to arrive at that answer? And how do you know that it's taken into account all the other data points that you needed to in order to give you the right answer? So I don't think we're at the point where AI is going to be able to answer everything and do everything that humans can do, right? And I don't think we're even 5 years from that.
Right.
Empathy, strategy, reasoning, quite frankly, aggression, right? These are all innately human capabilities that a machine, will not replace within, at least a 5-year time frame. On the underestimate side, people think that expertise is a core competency of humanity. Expertise is really just humans often regurgitating or reconstituting knowledge that they found somewhere else.
Yeah, sure.
AI can do that today.
Right.
From the jump.
Yep.
So if what a human is bringing, what a person is bringing to the table is expertise, I feel like that's getting commoditized, and that's where we're going to see some real jumps, some real leaps in capability.
Interesting. All right, so.
Well said.
Well said. Good job.
Good job.
Good job. Good hire. So when we think through, right, so what it can do, what it can't do, what are some misperceptions in the grander world of AI? So when it comes down to it, you had mentioned, delivering decision-making ability or understanding how the expert got to the decision. Do you think there is a world, maybe in any of our lifetimes, where that decision calculus really does become Skynet? Like, when do we see Terminator and the machines are making decisions? And are we there technologically? But do you ever see a military commander, the folks that you deal with, the warfighters, the end users, coming to a point where they would be willing to take themselves out of that loop?
Yes.
Okay.
We will get there.
Okay. Tell me more.
Well, let's baseline this.
Sure.
AI isn't new per se, right? Language models, machine learning capabilities, we've had that for a very long time.
Right.
And in a lot of ways, we have already offloaded certain decisions to computers.
Sure.
Right? You get on an airplane to fly somewhere. The pilot gets you in the air. The pilot's not sitting there for the 8-hour flight, holding on to that stick, right? And so that's an incredible amount of responsibility that has been offloaded on a machine to make sure that everyone that sits on that plane gets from A to B safely. Now, you need competent pilots. You need that human in the loop of the system. One is a fallback in case something breaks. But two, to mine the system. I think that's where we are today with AI, right? We're building these systems. There are humans in the loop. We are starting to look for ways that we can offload not just that cognitive burden, but also the actual action and the actual activity on it. There's this giant concern. Will AI replace my job? Sure. There are going to be some jobs that we are likely going to need less of those people doing that job. Because a computer can do that better.
I mean, at the turn of the Industrial Revolution, we had a lot of saddle makers and farriers that had to go the way of the mastodon because we had cars now and they became mechanics and car salesmen, right? I mean, there's a natural, there's a natural kind of like cellular rejuvenation of industries when something else happens.
And thank God you said it, because now what did those folks have to do? Just like you said, you were a shoemaker for horses. You learned how to change tires on a Model T. Like, jobs will be created out of this that don't necessarily exist today. So yes, you'll lose some, but we are also going to gain more. I think what we are gaining much more is the amplification of human consciousness and human ability. Because if we are able to do more with less, the old Green Beret mindset,
there you go.
Be a force multiplier. If AI is done right, it becomes a teammate and it becomes a force multiplier on you as an individual, on you as an organization, on an industry, and so on and so forth. Bringing it back to what you said on the defense capabilities, Terminators, Skynet. We're making some of these decisions already. We are offloading kinetic decisions onto drones. And now the final decision of that kinetic action might not sit with the computer today. We are offloading some of that decision making. Maybe not the final decision, but some decision making. We are already offloading that onto computers, onto the machines. I don't think we will go full Skynet in the near term. The discussions that we have, a lot of people still recognize the importance of having a human in the loop of that decision system.
Right.
But I do think that in certain use cases within the next 10 years, there will be some life and death decisions that are offloaded onto a language model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think to your point, you know, we've gone past this being a technical question.
Sure.
And
yeah, right.
And it's a policy question.
Right. It's a policy question. It's a risk It's a philosophical question. It's a risk acceptance question on behalf of that commander. Right.
Yes. Right. And you know, essentially, there's a red button there, and you know, we place the button there.
Right.
But the technical requirement or challenge of removing the button and closing that loop is, you know, that is not a technical issue. That's really a policy
issue. Yeah, that's right.
But one other point I wanted to make on your comment about you know, how we're moving, you know, from a societal perspective on, you know, whether or not AI is going to replace jobs. I think the frontier of that is really at this point software development, right? Okay. Because, you know, AI coding, vibe coding is, you know, having tectonic changes, is affecting tectonic changes within the industry. But if you ask a software developer who uses AI coding tools, vibe coding tools, they will tell you it's not going to just wholesale replace software developers in mass. Right. In fact, what it's going to do is exactly what we're talking about. It's going to morph and change the industry to the point where being able to you know, run and maintain those platforms, those capabilities, those tools, and then to analyze, understand, evaluate, and prioritize the output of those tools is going to become probably the primary skill that's required to have in that.
Back to the concept of like the force multiplier, right?
Yeah, and I think we look at all the models as a new one is launched by the foundational model companies, right? Your OpenAIs, your Anthropics. Google just had a new Gemini release, which is performing really well. Grok, right? So we look at these models. Are they perfect? No. Are use cases going to slip through, or outcomes that are going to slip through these models that are less than positive? Sure.
But people make bad decisions too.
People make bad decisions too. People are the ones designing these systems. We are flawed as people, right? I was a philosophy major up the street at Catholic University. I spent 4 years just asking these questions, right? But the way in our experience with these companies, I don't think that any of these companies are building these systems with reckless abandon.
No,
they are having these questions. They are challenging their teams with this great responsibility and this burden that has been placed on them by the success of what they have brought to life here.
Right.
They're asking the questions, but we're flawed. So there are going to be flaws, and we're working to diminish those. Our responsibility as a defense technology company that is leveraging existing models and then also creating our own proprietary models is to be an added layer in that decision tree of taking what we're given and then asking our own philosophical questions so that we give our users here, you know, in the national security base, that we give our users the most responsible, efficient, and effective product that we can to amplify their own efforts to do good.
Yeah. No, that makes all the sense. It's crazy that you're having an AI conversation talking about philosophy, but it really does get into that. It's right. There's a burden on the people developing it. There's a burden on the people using it. I think, you know, a level of transparency and accountability in the systems and understanding it probably continues to move us more towards letting the machines do what they're good at and letting the humans do what they're good at. I want to shift gears quick right here. Hard shift. So when we look at the stack of dealing with the U.S. federal government, right, we have leaders at the top, and the leaders at the top right now are very much foot on the gas, pedal to the metal, move fast, right? We a lot of stuff, I would say, just about out of every service secretary, out of the Department of War, we're hearing all of the right things. And then there's a bunch of folks in the middle, and we'll get to the bunch of folks in the middle. But you spend a lot of time at the end user, right? And understanding the context of operating in defense. The stark contrast from that, from a commercial ecosystem, is when you go to the user, they can't open their wallet and give you money. They have a mother may I system at varying degrees of how they get the thing. But this could be a slightly unfair question given 10 months in, but you guys have lived other kind of situations as well. You go down to the warfighter, you go down to the user, you bring first product. How have those engagements with your end user changed or shaped or pivoted the product when you actually get down there and do the customer discovery? How much does that influence how you develop once you're kind of out of your own silo and you're like, hey, I think we need to build this, and you have like the base model down, then you start bringing it to users? How much does that play in, and how important is that user warfighter engagement in developing a company like this?
It's everything. For us, the end user is everything. Who are we doing this for?
Right.
We're doing this for the warfighter. We're doing this for the men and the women that are at the front lines. And then from a more macro perspective, we're doing this because we believe that we can have a positive impact on our country by supplying a product that allows our leaders, our analysts, and our operators to have probably the most important tool in conflict, which is clarity. Which is the ability to make a fast, effective, efficient decision.
So let me pull the thread on this a
Yeah.
little more, right? So the behavior patterns that we see out of traditional defense companies are do some version of shape requirements,
Sure.
wait for the RFP to come out, answer the RFP with your contract and proposal team, do your go, no-go criteria, bid, no bid, and then answer RFPs. When you're on the ground and your users are saying, hey, we would like this feature, sure, right? This would be great. Have you guys thought about doing that? How does that affect you internally as a new company, a venture-backed company, to get ahead of anything that's going to come out on SamDoc?
We don't have the luxury of waiting for the procurement process and big A acquisition to play out. We are fortunate that we have incredible investors and we have future investors that are willing to make a bet that we've put together an incredible team. We've built an incredible product. We're going to figure out the go-to-market. We're going to generate revenue and build a large company. So the ability to bring that revenue in through, or those liquid resources in through the venture capital community means that we are able to build this company. This process is a consistent feedback loop if you do it correctly. So you start with your own knowledge of saying, we live this.
Right.
We were the user at some point.
Right.
So let's go build version 1, which is the product that we wish we would have had and that we would like today. But then you take the product built by engineering.
Right.
And the sales teams take that and they bring it to the users.
Right.
And they say, this is what we have. This is where we think it can help. And then you let them look at it and play with it. And then they give you feedback. This is good. This is bad. This needs help. If you can do this, there's money here. So then sales brings...
Then that's the following question. Okay, you have a rabid user base. Sergeant Mike down at MARSOC wanted everything. I mean, you meet these, this and this and this and this. Okay, so now you have your user input, right? Now we're getting away from...
But wait, Mike, I got to interrupt you.
Yeah, please go.
You wanted what you wanted.
Yeah.
You didn't want the crap that you got, which was RFIs, contract vehicles being written by people who didn't understand warfighter need,
right?
Who sent budgetary requirements to Congress that got things funded, and then equipment showed up on your front door, and you said, "I can't. What am I doing with this?"
Right.
And then it goes and sits, and we're wasting money.
Right. Or to your point about the things that are in a museum right now. when I went to basic recon school in 2004, we still had an analog PRC 104. Like this is museum level shit, and that's what we were training on to go to the invasion of Iraq, right? So it's not only the shit that gets shoved down your throat, but it's the antiquated stuff. When all you need to do is go out to an AUSA or a modern day Marine and see all this other shit, and you're like, why don't we have that? That seems amazing.
100%. I mean, this is the fundamental difference and shift between the venture-backed defense tech world and traditional defense contracting, which was I have a set of requirements. I go and I work the acquisition process.
Yep.
I get my contract. I'm going to go build exactly what those requirements told me to build. And if I need to do something else, I'm going to go back for a change order.
Yep.
And eventually, in however many months or years time, there's going to be a product that spits out the other end, and which in many cases, sadly, is already obsolete or close to it by the time it actually gets. Right. So defense tech kind of shifts that on its head. Shifts that on its head. And
well, I mean, so sorry. Let me just, that goes back to like the Henry Ford. If I asked people what they wanted, they would say faster horses, right? If you could already write a requirement against it, specifically, thank all things that are good and great in the world, we got rid of JSIDs, right? That the monster that was trying to get through
waterfall,
the JROC, the 800 days for the JSIDs process, right? Like, those requirements were already art of practice. That wasn't anything new or cutting edge or disruptive. You're getting ahead of all of that cycle and trying to deliver what's art of the probably possible.
Yep. Yeah. So we get our investors to look at what we built. They say, this solves a need. Here's some money. Go after it. And then we're now doing the contracting and acquisition process with a product that we know solves a problem. That's right. And to give just real quick, one example, we work with a non-governmental organization that's in Ukraine, Burma, Syria, and other war zones. Their mission is humanitarian demining.
Yep.
We found the director there. We worked with him. We gave him a license. He's using it in Ukraine right now. And coming back to us with, real world, immediate feedback. Hey, this is great. Oh, we needed this over here. And one of the things to give a kind of a tactical example is, we have capability to do things like object detection and change detection.
Okay.
We built our own models based on the input that we got from him. Like, here are the thresholds that I need to be able to actually action on that information.
Right.
So I want you guys to build to base to that. We also learned, we need to make sure that this system is scalable and modular, so that if somebody else has their own model, that they can plug it in. Right. And then we're able to build this ecosystem of object detection capabilities in this case, to support multiple use cases.
Right, because you're not making a proposition that you're going to be able to do all this multi-source collecting as well. There's other partners out in the ecosystem that are generating the data.
Right. We don't do that.
Right. You have to have a massive partnership network to be able to do this.
But you have to do what you do really well, right? And I think if you want to look at the positives of this rise of the defense technology ecosystem, which is funny because we were talking about this back in 2014, and now it's a very colloquial term. But if you look at the paradigm shift that this has created, is that, so I worked at an organization that did counter IED, and we always focused on, if the IED going off is boom, lives are saved left of boom. You get ahead of the threat, you get ahead of that decision point. And if you're right of boom, you're reactive. The current acquisition process and the way that we have traditionally been doing things is you get the requirement, largely the primes go out, they spend years of R&D, hundreds of millions of dollars to develop a capability, and we are always operating reactively. We are always right of boom. For the first time really ever in a concerted way, we have the capital resources being dedicated towards an ecosystem of exciting, aggressive, patriotic people who want to look at the problems as they exist today, solve them, get them into the market, get them into the hands of the users, and be proactive and left of boom. This is incredible.
This is a perfect segue.
I knew where you were going.
So good. We are not only use the same barber, but our brains are synced right now.
I know. For anybody watching this, Mike and I are not brothers. We're just two really good-looking men.
but my brother is here. So that being said, it is a completely new landscape of dealing with the Department of War. But we've seen a lot of that motivation, the policy, the guidance that's coming out. It's great. But there's more than one entity here, right? There's more than one entity here. What Secretary Hegseth is doing, what everybody down the stack is doing, everything that we're seeing is really great in paper, right? We've seen great, even some of the early stages of adoption, the Army setting up their drone marketplace, or the reconstruction and the rollout last week of the Navy's Rapid Capability Office and doing those engagements with industry and kind of like setting the way forward for that, which is they're moving into implementation. But this pesky little document written on parchment paper, I don't know, like 20 or 30 years ago, called the Constitution. And in this pesky little document, Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution says, no funds will be drawn from the Treasury without the appropriation of Congress. Power of the purse. Congress has a role to play in this. In the NDAA, we've seen on both the House and the Senate side, we've seen the Speed and the Forge Act. The House Appropriations Subcommittee on Defense has been leaning in for last 4 or 5 years, if not more, creating and funding programs like the Office of Strategic Capital, APVIT, things like this, restructuring DIU to be $1 billion organization. Warfighters love you. You've learned to navigate the process. We have a new landscape. How do you deal with Congress?
Relationships with Congress, especially right now, it is, we are educators.
Yep.
We are educators on a broken system. We are educators on technological capabilities and advancements.
Yep.
And we are advocates for the users. We are advocates for the soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine who can't come and sit in Frontier House and walk 10 feet away and go into a House office building and sit with a member of Congress and tell them about, in a no bullshit way, the things that are happening, what is needed, and the impact giving it to them will have. We have a congressional system that has been overly reliant on the defense lobby for way too long, that is routinely driving requirements and programs that are no longer needed, simply to keep the faucet on.
Right.
I think regardless of your politics, what this administration is doing and individuals inside it they are trying to tear down a lot of these institutional walls that started as really loose drywall and over the years have become concrete and rebar.
With moats and dragons and everything else.
And they are trying to tear them down. You, me, Colter, those of us in this ecosystem are trying to tear them down. And we are making headway. But you're right. We have to partner with Congress. I think that I'm not going to call any specific members out, but there are a lot of members on both sides of the aisle that understand the immediacy of need that we have here.
Right.
That getting this wrong means falling behind to China, means not being able to meet current need of current adversaries. It means not being far enough left of boom to anticipate the next threat to our nation. We have really good members of Congress that understand it. We also have members that at one time were probably good members of Congress, but they have been there too long, they're too old, and we need new blood. We need more veterans in Congress. We need more veterans. I don't quote me completely on this.
Oh, the numbers are bad.
But I believe that right now we have the lowest veteran representation on Capitol Hill since pre-World War II. And if you want to look at the degradation of compromise and dialogue, right there, one of the reasons is both parties have become overly polarized. The other reason is that who knows better how to come together, make a plan that is best for the country, and get shit done than a veteran. So our interactions with Congress have been incredibly positive so far. We are hearing the right things. I do believe that they are trying to push more innovation. They are trying to advocate for more small businesses to get that chance to prove themselves. We spend a lot of our time with the warfighter, as we've told you, with the decision makers inside the Department of War, inside the intelligence community, with the analysts. That's where we like to be. But we also recognize that we have to advocate for ourselves and we have to advocate for the industry at large. Really quick story, super funny. We were with a fairly well-known venture capitalist, and
As you do.
we weren't even raising. We were just discussing the possibility of what them investing could look like. And one of the things that they told us we were doing a bad job in our go-to-market was that we were spending too much time with the end user. And that if we really wanted to be successful, we needed to spend more money on marketing and more money on lobbying.
Interesting.
I unequivocally reject that.
As you should, and as everyone else should.
As everyone in this, like I will tell any young founder, I'm not a young founder. I'm 42 years old. I'm 4 companies in.
Right.
And a number of other companies I've helped. If you are a young founder, yes, Congress is really important. Yes, having a relationship and a presence on Capitol Hill is incredibly important to your business. But if you want to know if what you're building matters, if what you're building is going to work in operational environments, and if what you're building is going to help, you have to talk to the end user. Right. So that's where like to give you credit, Mike, like that's where like value of things like Frontier House becomes so important to early venture-backed companies. We don't have millions of dollars to pay lobbyists. We don't have that money. We have to get by on duct tape and dreams, finding members that are willing to meet with us and advocate for us simply because it's what's right for this country. And being able to have a presence on Capitol Hill through Frontier House, that becomes an extension of LARX as a company. Right. That is so massive. So that's a very elongated way of saying we have to interact with Congress.
Right. I mean, it's both parts human and physical infrastructure, right? It's intelligence and operational preparation of the environment that you're doing for your business. You have to be present. You have to have those relationships. And if we take a page out of the large primes books, they do it, and they do it on a daily basis. They are engaging all the time. I remember being a young staffer, and well, I wasn't young when I was a staffer. I was new as a staffer. I'd retired from the Marine Corps already, but like, I remember that process of this kind of parade of defense lobbyists that come up, and then they're like, oh, you're new here, you need to know me. And then there's like this steady drumbeat of them, like once a week, once a quarter. It's like you're always getting like contacts. You're like, stop bothering, like, dude, I got work to do, like get out of here. But like they have that steady drumbeat and presence of constantly being here and engaging and building that, human terrain map here, and they know it, and they're really good at it, and you just can't do that from Austin, Boston, the Valley, wherever you're coming from. It's the human game. The interpersonal relationships are here.
100%. It's having that presence on the Hill. We know that this is a crucial element to what we're doing. So, working with yourself and being here is a crucial element of what we're doing. But one point I did want to make on that is, there's, every time we meet with somebody on the Hill or elsewhere within government, I'd say 99 times out of 100, those people are, supremely helpful. They get it. They're passionate. They're energetic. They understand the nature of the problem, and they want to do everything they can to help, not just with us, but I think in general.
Sure.
And that's true not just in Congress, but all across the government.
I agree with
that. What they get stymied by is just as Tad described, that ossification of the system, right? You kind of get in this culture of rice bowl protection, or of me versus them, or it's not the people, it's the way that the system has kind of perpetuated itself.
Sure.
has kind of pushed people or offices in certain directions that I think kind of are ripe for disruption.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're gonna adapt to the incentives and the feedback and the corrective action that they get from someone if they try to be innovative, and then something not so great happens. Right. You could have a risk-averse environment there.
And it's not just here.
Right.
We are working with partners in the UK and the Nordics, in other countries in NATO.
Yep.
The struggles that we have here are tenfold in those countries.
Damn.
And they have less budget.
Right.
Those budgets are more entrenched.
Okay.
Their systems are more advanced at holding back innovation.
Yep.
It's why the United States leads in innovation.
Right.
We are a country that is willing to accept risk, is willing to take risk. That's the American spirit.
Yep.
That's the settler saying, I can't afford a farm on the East Coast.
Right.
So I'm going to load up a chuck wagon and I'm going to go west. That's the frontier spirit. That's the American spirit.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm trying to see if we play a drinking game, how many times we can work frontier.
It's been epic.
Into this podcast.
No, it's been really epic. This is going to be an ongoing game now for everyone.
Everyone.
We're just going to keep a tally.
Who says frontier the most?
For sure.
That's the American spirit. So it is as many struggles as we have here. It's more so NATO wide. Yeah. So, we in this ecosystem, all of us, it is incumbent upon us to bring that spirit and help our partners in NATO, because this is going to be a whole of world approach to counter future adversaries and to have this check and balance from a global balance of power that is so critically important.
Yeah, we were on the phone with NATO Diana yesterday.
And
that's real.
And it's a good program.
Yep.
It was. I mean, what a far left-leaning program for NATO to undertake. Does it have its problems? Sure. But the more that we can do to help them along, that actually helps us.
Oh, for sure.
The one last thing I'll mention on Congress is that to individuals in the Department of War, in the intelligence community, and then the lobbying communities as well, and then us in the defense tech ecosystem, we also have to educate the members on what's available in terms of rapid acquisition capabilities and innovation dollars that are being committed. Because while the committee members, both House and Senate, defense appropriations, authorizations, intelligence, Homeland Security committees, while they might know what is out there, members who don't sit on those committees might not be aware of the Army Fuse program, of the Navy Rapid Capability Office, of things that the Marine Corps does too. Right. The Marine Corps, no service that does more with less.
Fact.
So we have to keep educating on what is there as we tear down some of the incumbent bad policies and philosophies of big A acquisition, and we move towards more highly mobile, quick, rapid acquisition capabilities. Let's make quick decisions to bring technology in. Let's also, though, bring quick decisions to sunset products, programs, and things that don't meet the need anymore. It's not a bad thing to say goodbye.
I mean, that's the old Ronald Reagan quote, right? The only thing harder than starting a government program is ending one. That doesn't change when you get into the budget and the J books and the programs of record. I mean, I'm not gonna personally or professionally attack anybody, but we know that there are portfolios that live across the PEO enterprises that have to go away, and we know that without throwing stones at anybody, because the Navy in their reconstructing of the Robotics and Autonomous Systems Division went from over 200 programs in robotics and autonomy across the Navy systems, command, nav, sea, nav, air, nav, war, and boiled that down to 60 that should continue. That is a huge admission from inside the department that they were carrying a lot of waste in the system and still putting dollars against things that were either duplicative, redundant, or just needed to go away.
100%. I mean, one thing that we have to continually reassure our customers or prospects of is that there is nothing inherent in our platform that is going to perpetuate vendor lock-in. Right. Our, when your data goes into
MOSA,
LARX,
open,
your data is your data.
Yep.
Right. We take no ownership of the data at all. But what we know we need to do is continually deliver value every day. Right. Software by its nature is essentially you're providing value not just today, but what is the future outcome. Right. That's why people buy software. It's not just because of what it does today. But what is it going to do 6 months from now, a year from now, right? That is that's the subscription model, right? You are subscribing to something that offers you value not today, but every day.
And continual advancement on behalf of the company without the government having to go back and do a change order or tell you what's next. You can just do that internally.
It's just part and parcel of what we do, right? We are continually innovating and adding capability and building the platform to be, its best self. Yeah. And that affects not vendor lock-in, but it gives, we're going for vendor love-in, right? We were like,
oh man, somebody brand that. That's good. That's good. Trademark.
I kind of felt like Rowan and Martin here with the
love-in set. No, I love it.
Next time you see me, I'm gonna have a sticker for you.
Oh,
vendor
dude.
love-in.
Vendor love-in, dude. We're doing T-shirts and everything. That's great. No, right? But it is. Like, if you're a good vendor, and look, I wake up in the morning and I turn my phone on and it says, oh, hit here to accept the update, and then the update's there and then my phone works better, right? I don't have to call the provider and say, hey, can I get that next gen something? And then their answer is, well, pay me more money for it. They just do that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That is the inherent value of software. And if we're doing it right, that is what we're bringing to the warfighter, to the analyst, to the decision maker.
All right, last question, and I'm going to play a game here. I have 2 questions. So you get to pick the first one, and then you have to answer the one that's left. I think I know which way this is going to go. All right. So inherently, when I get up and I run my mouth once a week, it's to try to keep track of everything that's going on here in DC. Try to translate that into English, and then try to translate that into some type of tangible step or thought process that somebody who is seeing the MIA, the JAR, the WAS, all these new acronyms come out that they didn't, a lot of times don't even know the predecessor to that, so don't understand the changes, or new programs like Army Fuse that come out to try to break that down so it's actionable intelligence for people within the community. Ultimately, that's the goal, right? So in that theme and feel, right, you guys are sitting on the other side of that. I can tell you what's changing, but you guys are living the change and have been now and in other companies and places that you've been. So you get to pick one of these. Biggest mistake you've made, or a golden nugget $1 million piece of advice that you could give to somebody just trying to get into war tech today.
I know you're gonna hate me, but I'm gonna steal. I'm gonna exercise my first my first right here. My right of first refusal.
That's why I did it. That's why I did that. That's why I did that.
But only so. I will choose number 2, and the reason is
I knew you were going to.
Because why wouldn't I, right? I honestly, when I talk to students or groups who are trying to think about what does it mean to be an entrepreneur, to start a company, I always say, don't assume that just because a problem is big that someone is solving it well.
Interesting.
Because in many cases, just, we think that, okay, this is a massive, intractable, universal truth. Therefore, there's somebody who's, wildly capable and talented and well-funded who's going to just attacking this problem every day and is going to have a solution within, hours or weeks or months.
Right.
The number of times I've gotten into a room, talked to a founder, worked with a team, whether it's the government or just startups. The amount of times that I've talked to somebody, they're like, "We're working on this problem and we're solving it," and I was like, "Wait, you mean that didn't exist before?" They're like, "No, it didn't."
So what I'm hearing is, if you see a problem and you think you can solve it, pick up the phone and ask, because that problem might actually not be solved.
Don't even ask. Just go.
Just go.
Just
One
go.
fact. Just do it.
There's never been a better time to start a company. The barriers to entry are so low right now. They're on the freaking floor.
Right.
You can spin up a compute instance. You can have your own AI models. You can literally vibe code an entire platform.
Yep.
Don't let anything stand in your way. If you think there's a problem, just freaking go.
I love that.
Sorry, I had to steal it.
No, that's good.
Oh.
Hey, and I'll give you a caveat. I'll give you a caveat to just, it's my Christmas present to you.
Okay.
If you want to hit your biggest mistake, it doesn't have to be with this company. I don't know if that's better or worse.
I mean, we might be here another hour if we talk about my mistakes. I won't. I'll give you two. I don't think we have made a big mistake with LARX.
Okay.
We have been incredibly intentional, and I'm incredibly proud. We've made the right hires. We've developed on the right product philosophy, and the people that we're working with, the customer side, we've got those early customers right, and we have incredible partners. So there is so much to be thankful for, especially going into this Christmas season. If I look at two mistakes that we made, the first was Colter and I have been doing this a while.
Right.
We know the federal space. We know how to sell to government.
Yep.
When you start your company, a lot of so-called experts in the form of consultants will knock on your door.
Absolutely.
And they will promise that they will make all of your wildest dreams come true in time frames that, even though you know are complete and utter bullshit, you sit there, and because you feel so much pressure
Right.
to win contracts,
Yep.
to show value, to generate revenue. One, because it's what you're there to do. Sure. Two, because you want to be a good portfolio company to your investors.
Right.
And three, because you probably have to raise more money at some point.
Sure.
And you want to get your valuation up. And so it's very easy to be seduced by the promise of people who can get you there faster.
So how do you get through that? How do you vet someone?
Well, what we did was, I have a very anti-consultant policy. I don't bring consultants in and pay them retainers. I don't do it.
So let me pause there, but I do want to get back to your vetting process, because I think this is really important, because I've seen this break two ways.
Yeah.
With second-time founders or multi-time founders,
Sure.
I have seen some lean really heavy into that really quick onboarding of that expertise.
Yep.
But I have also seen it in the way that you're presenting it, where you're like, no, I know that there's so much snake oil out there. We're staying away from that, and we're just growing talent internally.
No, you took the easy question. Sit there and shut it. Revenue officer.
This is a good team right here.
Okay.
No, okay, right. So some people have a very heavy.
Here was the mistake.
Okay.
We had a lot of the consultants come in, kept saying no, kept doing the Heisman.
Right.
We had some come in, they made a strong enough argument, and against my better judgment, I said, I'll pay the retainer.
Sure.
Because I think that they're going to help. And, I think we got 60, 90 days into the relationship.
Yeah.
no introductions, no positive movement.
Right.
It was just it became very apparent very quickly that they were not going to get us where we needed to go. And so we terminated the relationship. And it wasn't a huge mistake in that it cost us a little bit of money, but it didn't cost us a lot, and it could have been a lot worse. Where it really frustrates me is it cost us time, and it made me question my better judgment. You asked about vetting process.
Yeah. So how do you onboard talent?
Talk to the consultants. There's a lot of them that are going to have a tremendous amount of value, that do have those relationships, that do have that knowledge base, especially if you haven't done this before, especially if you haven't spent time in the Department of War, inside the intelligence community, inside of an InQtel. You can leverage this expertise. Where I've come now is, you show me that you can deliver on the first one, and I'll give you a very generous commission on that. And if you can show me that you can deliver, then we can discuss a retained relationship. But I'm not going to pay you just because you say you can do something. We have limited budgets. We have limited resources. I would rather own the talent full time. I would rather bring new team members on, because we've done incredible with our team. Our team is insane right now. So that was the mistake. The second mistake was very early on in our venture raise. Obviously, I've done this before. I know all the great VCs. I also know who some of the bad VCs are. But because defense tech has gotten hot in the past couple of years, you have a lot of pretenders with money throwing their hat in the ring who are really uneducated on what we have dedicated our lives towards. That money can be very seducing, because they come quick, they come with a lot of it, they offer higher valuations, and even though you should probably be more patient and wait for some of the more value-based investors, you can go down rabbit holes with investors that will end up just wasting your time, and either you convert with them and all you get is dumb money, and it doesn't really help you build and grow your company, or they waste your time and they can't actually close. So we did, very early on, waste probably about 30, 45 days on an investor that we should have never wasted that time on. Now, the value out of that is we've got, our largest investors, Expeditions Fund out of Europe, One Bow River out of Colorado Springs, and then Fulcrum Venture Group out of Southern California. We got 3 amazing investors who all understand the defense technology space. They understand what it takes to build an early company. They have been our biggest advocates, supporters. They're always there. We got really lucky with who we ended up with. But wasting time on an uneducated investor meant it took me 45 days longer to get the resources I need to support Colter and the rest of our team to go to market. So those are 2 mistakes that I've learned a lot from as CEO and as a leader. I've done this before and I'm still learning. And I think that's the greatest thing I take from it. What I tell the new founders coming into the space, right now, there's a lot of dumb money. There's a lot of uneducated venture capitalists who want to play defense tech VC. Do your research. When you go and you meet with an investor, you have every right to ask them and vet them in the same way that they are vetting you. Ask them, have you done this before? What is your thesis in the space? How can you help me?
You're seeking mission alignment with the users and the warfighter, and then as a CEO in the company, you have to find those mission-aligned partners that are there for all the right reasons that you're doing it for, and then it almost sounds like there's a value proposition there when you bring somebody onto your team internally or not. Like, they're not dedicated to the same mission you are and probably willing to take a different kind of path on that relationship. They're probably not the right people to even start with, and don't waste time and resources with the wrong people.
You shouldn't. Mike, you're going to get this. A lot of people, anyone who's listening who has been in the inside of these communities before, understands what it means to be mission focused. We are a mission focused company. every day, I watch my team show up, and they know why they're there. Your investors, your partners, the members of Congress that support you, they are an extension of your team. Your VCs especially. That is a 10-year marriage. That is not dating.
That's right.
That is marriage.
That's right.
They are an extension of your team. If they don't have the same mission focus that you preach and bring each day internally, then it will very quickly have the potential to become a negative relationship. If you don't understand what it means to be mission focused, don't start a defense technology company. Go do the research on what that means. Because we are here for two reasons. We're here to make this country stronger and this country better. And we're here to support the men and women that are actually carrying out these missions and making these decisions. If you don't get that, go find out what it means to do that. Go find a veteran and go sit with a veteran and understand the struggles that they had, the friends that they lost. You know, go sit with someone, educate yourself. You know, you have the greatest access to education. Go take advantage of it.
I apologize to absolutely fucking no one when I say if you are in defense and you are not mission focused, mission first, user first, and then you're figuring out how to navigate the system later, like, do not come fuck off like you are wrong. Like, this is not the next dating app. This is not the next cool SaaS that you can.
It's not Web3.
That's right.
This is not the, you know.
This is a long game, and this is something that is founded in mission over money, regardless whether it's in the private sector or in the investor sector or not. This isn't some bullshit SaaS out of San Francisco. You have to be mission focused, user focused first and foremost, because if not, every one of the incentives is misaligned in how you're going to engage every single day. Well, I'm ending on that.
Couldn't have said it better.
No, I'm ending on that. That is,
wow.
If you are not mission focused, fuck off. Like, I'm just gonna, like, that's the I don't know if we could put that on YouTube, but that's like the title of the episode.
Look, I don't want to break your microphone by dropping it and walking off.
No,
but
right.
Like, this is the proverbial mic drop moment.
No, it is. Mission alignment, mission focus is everything. Or don't get into defense. I'm absolutely okay with that. Well, guys, thank you for coming.
Thanks, brother.
It was phenomenal. Appreciate everything you guys are doing. I wish you unlimited success and opportunity, not because of you or your company or your employees, who I'm sure are great, but we all know that the warfighters at the end of the day need this to keep the comparative advantage against our adversaries who wake up every single day and want to do bad things to us.
Well, and likewise, thank you for everything you guys do. You've been super helpful, and it's been a fantastic ride so
It's
far.
an honor. All right, guys. Well, enjoy your rest of the day.